told my friends he couldn't satisfy me. He overheard everything and left the restaurant. You know, everyone has those moments in their lives when they wish they could go back in time and change things because of what they've done, and because those things have ruined one or two things in their lives, but then you tend to accept your fate because there's nothing you can do about it. It's different for me. Because my own moments, the mistakes I've made, have now defined my whole life, and they've ruined everything, every single thing, especially my marriage. Let me tell you everything so you can understand better. Things weren't always like this between Sam and I. Sam was the perfect gentleman even after our marriage. I thought that he would stop after we got married, but he never did, and I love that about him. He was kind, patient, loving, and trusting. He loved me to a fault, and he was willing to do anything to make our relationship work, including changing his job when he had to fit my demands. I met Sam at a party that I was invited to by a friend. It was Sam's surprise birthday party. His sister, who was an acquaintance of mine, had been the one to organize the party and also had invited me for it. Sam had always been eye-catching, very tall and built and handsome too. He had these unique eyes, and when he stared at you, it made you feel like jelly. He is really beautiful, if I'm permitted to use that word. So I wouldn't even lie, my insecurities had stemmed from the fact that ladies were always after him when we started dating, even after marriage. He was quite comfortable and had a good job. He had his own house and didn't pay rent. He was also caring and gentle, and every woman's dream man. And I was also part of the wishing ladies at the party that he was mine after seeing him. And luckily, Sam had noticed me alone at that party. He collected my number with a promise to text me the next day, which he fulfilled. I work as a customer agent in my company, where I filed complaints and also tried to soothe customers who weren't satisfied with what they've bought or needed a refund and proffer a solution. So communication to me has always been easy. I easily made friends, and I thought it was a good thing, surrounding yourself with lots of people who you could talk to. But Sam was different. I didn't have to pretend with Sam. I didn't have to lie about having an interest in something just to gain people's approval. I didn't have to be anyone else but myself with him, and I loved that about him. We started dating within a month of meeting, and it was just perfect. Well, except for my insecurities, which Sam had issues with. I was always so jealous, particularly because he worked with lots of females in his line of work, and then the female clients were always going for him perhaps to try and woo him, and it made me really uncomfortable. I hated it, and I started to give Sam issues. I would check his phone for things that weren't even there, and I would track him whenever he said he had business meetings. There was one time I almost ruined an important business deal for him because I poured the lady sitting across from him ice-cold water, which she had ordered because I thought that he was cheating on me with her. Thankfully, the woman liked Sam too much to cut off business with him after he apologized profusely. Sam eventually changed his job to move closer to home, and also so that he didn't have to work closely with female clients anymore just to please me. Like I said before, Sam had always been a real gentleman, and he was always striving to make our relationship work. And then, when it was our 1-year anniversary, Sam proposed to me. It was really the best, the exact thing I wanted and had always imagined my proposal to be like. That day still feels like yesterday. Sadly, I've ruined the beautiful after moments with my actions and words. We got married almost immediately. It was the fastest wedding planning I've ever known. We were married within a week after the proposal. Perhaps because I wanted no big thing and Sam agreed with me. It was just our families and friends, although a lot of people eventually ended up showing up, mostly to see Sam and not for the bride. They wanted to see who Sam ended up with, but I didn't mind. I was the one wearing the ring and officially his wife, and not those group of ladies who sat there looking down at me. Everything really was perfect, but then came the problem. Before our marriage, Sam and I never really had sex. I mean, we just ended up only making out and never taking it as far as the bedroom or stripping. Sam had always told me sex didn't really matter to him, and I always thought it was because he truly loved me for me, so I was always happy whenever he said that. I only discovered what he meant after the marriage. Sam really didn't care for sex. As a woman, I thought it would be me getting tired of having sex, and not the other way round. He was always too tired or too busy with work. And when he wasn't busy with work, he was busy taking me out on dates or buying me gifts or trying to spend time with me outside the bedroom. In fact, after our wedding, After our first night together as husband and wife, Sam and I didn't have sex after that week. The first performance was disappointing, but I just chalked it down to stress and tiredness from the whole wedding process. But then, after a week and the same thing had happened, I knew I was in trouble. Sam believed in bonding more out of the bedroom than in the bedroom, and it was never so with my exes and I. In fact, I was usually the one begging to be taken out on a proper date with them instead of having sex all the time. But with Sam, it was the opposite. Not that Sam wasn't good in bed, but he wasn't adventurous. He didn't do anything dangerous in bed like the others I had been with. I thought of him as boring in bed. It felt like it was more of a chore to him than pleasure, and each time we had sex, it just ended up pissing me off. But I never told Sam any of these. I expected him to just figure out my feelings, especially because that was what he spent time doing with me, trying to understand how I process anything mentally. But I never said it. I just would leave the bedroom after our not-so-satisfying sex and lock myself in the bathroom raging. Then come back to bed with a smile like there was nothing wrong. I didn't want to lose Sam. I knew how fragile a man's ego was, especially when it came to sex. I didn't want him to think that I've been with too many men and I was comparing. Even though that was the case, I never said anything, and for a year and a half, things were like that between us. Sam still not figuring out my feelings on sex, and me trying to pretend everything was fine while I was very sexually frustrated. And that was why it was really easy for me to fall into Will's arms when he offered exactly what I thought I needed. Will is Sam's friend. They had apparently been friends from university and had remained one ever since. They were the direct opposite of each other. While Sam is really handsome and pleasing to look at, Will wasn't handsome, and I bet that was one reason I didn't even notice that he was at that very party I met Sam. I had always known that Will was a little jealous of Sam, although Sam never noticed because of his default of seeing good in everybody. And I never really had any problem with it until I saw Will at a club one day. I had been invited by my friends who felt that I had only ever been busy since I got married. So I went with them, and then I saw Will. He didn't see me at first. He was busy dancing and grinding into a woman 2 times his size on the dance floor, and then they had both disappeared from the dance floor that night and showed up about an hour later with the woman looking like her brains were fucked out of her heads, and Will looking rather satisfied and smug. Suddenly, I just wanted something like that, and I was shocked by my thoughts. So I excused myself to leave early that night. I never had fantasies of having another man other than Sam since we got married, even though I wasn't pleased with our sexual life. So it was a new territory for me. And I shouldn't have. I know I should never have tried exploring it, but I did. And I regret it very much now. I kept going back to the club. It was first with the excuse that I just wanted to have fun. I went with my friends at first, but then eventually started going on my own. Sam wasn't even around for that whole month. He was on a business trip, but was always calling and texting to check on me, so it was easy to go to the club without the thought of getting caught. Will noticed me on the 3rd visit there, and he had left the woman he was with to come sit with my friends and I. We had fun drinking and just talking, and then when I went back alone, it was a different matter entirely. I practically begged Will to have sex with me. I was horny and drunk, but I remember myself complaining to Will about how little Sam did when it came to sex. I was telling him how sexually unsatisfied I was and how badly I craved good sex. I asked him to have sex with me that night, and I remember that Will had led me to the bathroom in the club, where he must have gone several times with the other ladies I see him with every other time. And we had sex. I slept with Will, my husband's friend, that night, and I remember feeling so well on top of the world instead of feeling guilty. I remember the feeling afterwards the next day. I knew I slept with Will, and I knew I felt really good after that, but I didn't remember exactly how it went down. Curiosity had me seeking out Will again. I wanted that feeling, and I wanted to be aware of every step of it. Will was excited to have a repeat of what happened, and he led me again to that same spot when he had slept with me the previous day, and we had a repeat. I thought it was dangerous and adventurous, and it made me really excited. I even had an orgasm twice despite the short period we had the sex. I would have had a 3rd one if someone had not come banging the door and asking us to hurry. He wanted to use the bathroom. Things were really wild between Will and I, and we continued meeting 2 days after that in the same spot to have sex. I was addicted to the feeling of ecstasy I got from him having sex with me, and I just couldn't stop. and I really thought I could have both, a loving husband, and every woman's dream man, and a lover who could fry your brain with pleasure, but I didn't know that life didn't swing that way. After Sam came back from his trip, I couldn't exactly continue going to the club, so I made a new arrangement with Will to meet at hotels instead of the club. I paid for the room, and he just would stay there and wait for me while I finished up work or found an excuse to leave the house. Our affair went as long as 3 months without any hitch. I was having the time of my life, having wild sex with Will all the time. We had no commitments to each other. He knew what was on the offer, and he took it without complaining. I think the only thing that truly satisfied him was the fact that he was sleeping with his friend's wife, whom he had always been jealous of right from the beginning of their friendship. It must have felt to him that he was doing something awful to Sam, and that satisfied him more than even the sex. I knew that. I knew the reason why Will was having sex with me was that, but I didn't mind. At that point, the only thing I just wanted was sexual satisfaction, and I got it, so I didn't really care what his real reasons were. Will even got too bold about our affair one time when we had friends over for dinner and I was trying to take the turkey from the oven. He had come over and squeezed my bottom while kissing me on the lips, taking some of my lipstick, which a friend had joked about. But thankfully, no one had realized or figured out that it was my lipstick. Probably because I cleaned that one off and applied another one. So they probably assumed he got it from his numerous girlfriends from home and not from me. His boldness, instead of scaring me, thrilled me and made me even want more with Will. We even brought our affair home when I could no longer pay for those expensive hotel rooms that Will kept choosing. He would come over when Sam was out on a business trip, or meeting, or perhaps at work, and maybe I had a day off that day. He would come and we would have sex nearly everywhere. There was a time I stopped eating at our dining table and only ate in our room or the living room, and it was because of the crazy things Will had done to me right on that table with some whipped cream and kitchen utensils. Sitting there reminded me of them, and I didn't want Sam noticing anything, so I just stopped eating there completely. And Sam never complained. He was only after my comfort, and that was all. But I guess karma didn't just sit around and let you have your way for life, because Sam found out, and not from anybody else but myself. He found out about my affair from me. My birthday was coming up, and Sam wanted to celebrate in grand style, but I refused. I didn't want any sort of party. I only wanted a small party. Our parents were far away, so they only came by visits or we went to them. But when Sam suggested having them around for my birthday, I refused. I didn't want anything grand, but when he kept pestering me, I told him I only wanted a few of my friends with me on that day, and Sam had obliged. I invited 3 of my friends, and although Sam had also invited his friends too for the dinner, they had some things so they couldn't make it. So it was just Sam, my 3 friends, and I around for the dinner party. I had spent my morning because I was off work that day with Will. He told me that good sex was my birthday present, and I had accepted it willingly. Sam brought me to the restaurant which he booked that evening, and my friends joined us. But instead of being happy, I was only being irritated by everything that was happening. My friends focused on Sam throughout the evening. They were giggling like high school kids and telling me how lucky I was to have Sam. They were asking Sam questions about his job, even though they understood nothing of what he said. They kept asking questions. Sam had been polite with my friends answering their questions, but that only seemed to make me more angry. So I told Sam that I didn't want the soup I ordered anymore. I wanted something spicier and tastier, and Sam had offered to go change the order for me. I wanted him to get away from them as fast as possible, but then he left, and all they had to sing were his praises. They were telling me how lucky I was to have a man like Sam, who adored me completely. They told me how they wished they had a perfect man like him, and they just went on and on about Sam. It just pissed me off the most, and I blurted out that Sam wasn't perfect. He was less than perfect, and they looked at me in shock. Instead of keeping quiet, I continued, too angry to stop. I wanted to sever their delusions about him, and so I continued, telling them how he couldn't satisfy me in bed and how sexually frustrated I had been throughout our years of being married. Then I proceeded to tell them about Will, and how thrilling it was having 2 relationships side by side and there was no one affecting the other. I even told them how long it had been since we had been together and how clueless Sam was about it. All these while, I didn't know that Sam was right behind me hearing everything. I didn't think to stop. I didn't think that he would be back in a jiffy. I thought that the normal Sam that I know would have a quick chat with the chef, trying to find out about some new recipe or ask about some cooking dysfunction he has had and wanted to correct. I thought he was going to take his time, particularly because of how uncomfortable he seemed with my friends, as he always had in the past. But I was so wrong this time, because by the time I was done saying everything I just saw Sam walk stiffly to his chair and picked up his car keys and told me coldly not to come home. I was shocked and speechless. My friends who were there only just looked at me in disgust, instead of the praise I expected from them. Then they stood up and told me to lose their numbers before leaving. I was left there thinking about how everything had just gone from perfect to total ruins in a matter of minutes. I couldn't understand what had happened, and so I sat there until the waitress brought the orders. Sam had ordered my favorite, and that just brought tears to my face. I cried so hard because I was scared and panicking. Eventually, I had to pay for dinner and leave without eating a thing. I was so scared to go home, and I remember standing outside the door for hours waiting and praying that Sam would forgive me. When I finally let myself in the house, Sam was sitting there in the living room, and by the door were my bags. Sam wasn't Sam anymore at that moment. He looked so cold and detached. He said nothing to me and just watched me from where he sat. I went on my knees immediately and started begging for his forgiveness. I didn't know when I started to explain everything right from the beginning. I told him why I had done what I did, and I begged him to forgive me. I swore to Sam that I would never do it again, and I begged him to give me a second chance. But Sam just sat there and watched me cry and beg, and then he finally stood up and pushed my things out the door, and then me, and then locked the door. I kept crying and begging, but Sam never opened the door. He left me out in the cold through the night. The painful thing was, I had to go to work the next day. I had to find a place to change my clothes and keep my bags, hoping that Sam would listen to me when we both got back from work. But I was less than effective at work that day, and my boss kept snapping at me for being inefficient. I thought Sam throwing me out was the only thing that was going to happen. I thought I would be able to fix it if I kept begging him and promising never to cheat again, but I had another thing coming for me. Sam had sent a recording to both our families that I didn't even know he had of me confessing everything I did with Will. He didn't stop there. He also sent it out to our friends group, and I was shocked when I started receiving different calls from work asking me if it was true. My boss was finally at the end of his patience because he asked me to leave for the day and come back with a straight head. But I got fired after a week because I couldn't bring myself to show up at work, not with my life stumbling down. My parents had told me never to speak to them again, and my siblings were giving me the silent treatment. I am still stuck staying at the cheapest Airbnb listing I could find. There are mosquitoes and lizards everywhere. I rented this out in hopes that Sam would allow me in the house again. Everyone, all our friends, keep blocking me and insulting me any chance they get. I've become a subject of ridicule amongst everyone that once held me dear, or rather had to disguise their hate for me before. They all now show it more willingly. My life is falling apart day by day, and every day seems to bring a new shocking incident. I don't know what to do or how to go about anything. I regret everything. I regret cheating on Sam with Will, and I regret saying the things I did to my friends about Sam while he was there. I regret getting caught. Guys, you have to help me. I've called and texted Sam so many times. I'm certain he has bought himself a new phone and left that one at home so I could keep calling, hoping he would pick just to torture me. I know I did a horrible thing, but please, guys, I cannot lose Sam. Losing him equals losing everything. And this past 1 week without him has been total hell. Please, guys, what should I do? Update. Hello, Reddits. It's been a while since I first posted here seeking for some help as regards my marriage. I'm sure that you guys would be thrilled to find out that I still am stuck where I am, and in fact, even more deeper than I ever was before. My parents are still so upset and are still standing their ground. My mother, who couldn't go a day without checking on me, has now gone days without a single call or a text. My siblings are also ghosting me, refusing to talk to me or have anything to do with me. My so-called social life is worse. No one wants anything to do with me anymore. Somehow the news had spread not just from our friends group, but also to everyone. Everyone now looks at me as if they know exactly what it is I am. To them, I'm a slut who is not satisfied with her perfect husband. To them, I'm a sex maniac who did everything right to ruin her marriage. To them, I'm nothing but a disgusting person who shouldn't even exist anymore. To them, I'm nothing. And I'm sure that applies to you guys too if your biased comments are anything to go by. The way each of you have scripted each insult like it was some competition for who can insult the best. The way you guys have made me realize just how audacious and shameless I am to come online on this platform to think I could receive some sort of advice after hurting Sam the way I did. The way you've insulted me clearly and made me even more depressed than I already am. It's quite painful. Very painful, in fact. I wouldn't lie. Because I came here thinking that this was my last hope. That maybe somehow someone somewhere would relate with me, would understand my emotions when I made those decisions, however stupid they were, that someone would see my desperation to get a second chance with Sam and perhaps give me something, anything at all to help with my situation with Sam. But I got the direct opposite. I got insults instead of advice. I got pain instead of the comfort I sought after. I got shame instead of liberation. I got the opposite of everything I came here seeking for. Maybe I shouldn't have. I should never have come here. What was I thinking? Even to me, I realized just how horrible I sound as a person using a flimsy excuse such as sex to have an affair. I should have known that I would never get anything but the things I got. I should have expected it. In fact, I did expect it, but not this much. Sam had ensured his lawyers got me to sign the divorce papers, and that I got nothing as the divorce settlement. Even though I wanted nothing else except a second chance with him. I keep thinking back to that day at the restaurant when I kept spouting nonsense and trying to put Sam down. There's nothing I regret more than what I had done that day. I should have known that it wouldn't last forever. I was doing the wrongest thing, and I should have known. I should have just known. My heart and head are at war every day with themselves. My heart is in pain every moment, remembering and missing Sam so much, and my head reminding my heart exactly what it cannot have because I made a terrible decision. Now I'm left to wonder how life would have been with Sam if I hadn't lost him. I wonder if we would be preparing to have our first child now. Sam and I had made a pact that our first 2 years of being married would be for us with no kids, and that ended a month ago. Maybe I will be off the birth control pill now, and we would be getting ready for our own mini version. But I can never know now, can I? I ruined every chance of that happening, and now I can never have it anymore. I wouldn't get the chance to know what it feels like to be pregnant with Sam's baby. I wouldn't get spoiled by him like he had always promised during pregnancy. I wouldn't get to shop for baby clothes and things for the preparation of its arrival. I will never know what it means to anticipate a new arrival with the man I love. It's so painful sitting down here imagining what life would be like with us and a child, knowing that you can never get that chance again. Now that I've lost the chance of being in Sam's life, I realize just how much I miss the little things I took for granted. All the dates we go on, each one managing to be more special and more unique than the last. All the gifts he bought me, each one more beautiful and more expensive than the last. All the little moments he never missed to spend time with me. All the decisions he made with every consideration of me. I wanted nothing with Sam, and yet I was so selfish and greedy. Now that I have to pay rent and bills for almost everything like water and electricity, I realize just how much I had taken for granted things I had on a platter of gold. I never had to worry about things like that before with Sam. He took care of things like that, and now I know just how little I appreciated having a man like him in my life. And I traded that joy, that opportunity for something as silly as an affair with an incapable man, someone less and lesser than Sam, someone who ran at the slightest view of trouble. I knew that. I knew that Will was never someone who would stick to me. I knew that he was nothing like Sam, but yet I was stupid enough to still continue until I have finally ended up destroying myself and my marriage. Words really cannot encompass how much I regret everything I've ever done to Sam. I remember so vividly that night when I knelt and cried and begged Sam for forgiveness, and he looked at me with cold eyes. I did that. I did that to him, and I will always regret turning the back of the man who loved me with my faults against me. Those eyes as they stared at me with plenty of emotions, anger, bitterness, hatred, but none of them love, has now become my nightmare. It's hellish knowing that Sam will move on, or maybe he already has, and with someone else. Someone who would love him and appreciate him. Someone who would cherish him so much and try everything in them to please him, someone who is definitely not going to cheat on him, someone who isn't me. I imagine it to be one of those girls who keep surrounding themselves around him despite knowing he was married then. He had his pick of women and can easily choose anyone to replace me, and I feel so terrible knowing I did that to myself, made myself replaceable instead of otherwise. It's hurtful knowing I can never go back. I could never make amends, and even if I did, no matter how hard I tried, Sam will never see me the same way again. He will never forgive me or look at me with love in his eyes. There's the agony of remembering his eyes alone just after an evening of finding out about the horrible things I did. Talk less of a lifetime of viewing me with that same lens, or even something deeper, something with deeper resentment and hatred for me. I know that I will spend my lifetime serving this jail time of no Sam, and it's just horrible that 1 month is like this already. I wonder fearfully just how months or even years of staying like this would do to me. I'm scarred for life. I'm scarred by my own mistakes and branded by my regrets. And it's hurtful knowing that this might continue to be my life. This is the last time I will be posting here, guys. Thanks and goodbye.